What turns an innocent child into a monster feared by all? This question echoes like a whisper from the depths, a question that seeks not just an answer, but a truth hidden in the shadows of the human mind. Because sometimes what is born pure is corrupted not by the darkness itself, but by the lies that surround it, by the pain that shapes it, and by the looks that condemn it before it even understands who it is. From an early age, he saw the world differently. While everyone else saw light, he saw the contrast. Where there was goodness, he saw fear disguised as virtue. Where there was justice, he tasted the bitter taste of hypocrisy. And perhaps it was in this distorted, or perhaps all too lucid gaze that the first thread of shadow began to stir within him. Have you ever felt like the whole world was pretending? As if behind the smiles there were only masks and ulterior motives? That's exactly how he started to lose faith in people. A little bit each day, every lie, discovered every broken promise, every sign of falsehood fed something silent inside him. And without realizing it, the boy who once sought acceptance began to desire something different, control. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover now might surprise you. He wasn't born evil, he was forged. Not by physical violence, but by the invisible weight of rejection and manipulation. While others called him strange, he observed silently, studied people, understood their weaknesses. And then one day something changed. The silence within him responded. That's when he realized he could do more than just understand people. I could influence them. He could make them doubt themselves, make them feel guilty, fragile, confused, all without having to say a single word. All you had to do was think, wish, and the change would happen. At first, he thought it was a coincidence, but too many coincidences become destiny. Little by little, he began to test. A simple look, a directed thought, and the impossible happened. Friends turned against each other, masters doubted their certainties, and he smiled silently while the world around him bowed without realizing it. But the scariest thing wasn't the power itself, it was the sense of pleasure he felt when using it. It was addictive. The idea of moving the human will as if they were invisible puppets, to transform fear into obedience, doubt into faith. What was once just curiosity has turned into an obsession. And the more I immersed myself in this new gift, the more the line between right and wrong began to blur. Have you ever wondered how far you would go if you had the power to control people's minds? How long could he maintain his sanity before being swallowed by it? He asked himself these questions, but when he finally found the answers, it was too late. Now, every thought, every emotion, every mind around you is just an extension of his. He doesn't need to shout to be heard, nor fight to win, just think, and the world obeys. But the price of mental power is high, because the more he dominates others, the more he loses himself. And deep down, the only voice he still hears is that of the darkness itself. And that's where the real transformation begins. The moment when the Son of Darkness understands that absolute control can be the direct path to the abyss. And that's exactly what you're going to find out next. And it is on this threshold between power and perdition that he begins to realize something fundamental. It is not just strength that transforms a being, but the awareness that every action reverberates in the minds of others. Every choice, every influence, every silent whisper builds a world around him that he himself can no longer fully control. And as you follow this story, you might be asking yourself, what if it were me? What if I had this power? Would I be able to resist the darkness itself? If this topic resonates with you, leave a comment below with what touched you most about the awakening of the Son of Darkness. Sharing your ideas, fears, or reflections not only helps spark a genuine conversation about this type of storytelling, but also strengthens this community of people who, like you, want to dive deeper into the dark and fascinating stories we explore here. As you write, remember that liking the video is a way to show that you want to continue following this type of content. Each like helps the channel reach more people who share the same curiosity and fascination for stories of complex villains, and allows us to continue bringing you increasingly intense and engaging narratives. And subscribing to the channel goes beyond just showing up. It's a sign that you want to follow this journey, step by step, discover the next secrets, unravel every shadow and every decision that shapes the fate of the Son of Darkness. Your participation here is what keeps this space alive and allows more people to access this kind of content, which provokes, moves, and makes us reflect on what power and choice truly mean. As you think about all this, you feel the chill that runs down his spine, the realization that every mind he touches, every decision he influences, is just a prelude to something much greater. And it is exactly at this moment, at this delicate point between curiosity and fear, that the story begins to deepen even further. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because to understand the true birth of the Son of Darkness, it's not enough to look at what he became, but to return to the moment it all began, to the core of his transformation. He wasn't born into an ordinary home, nor did he grow up surrounded by protection or unconditional love. On the contrary, his childhood was marked by chaos, rejection, and the absence of any reliable guide. The light that promised safety never showed interest in him, and every gesture of abandonment, every look of contempt, created a silent crevice within his mind that became fertile ground for something much darker. In these back rooms of the world, amid shadows and silences no one cared to fill, he quickly learned that what others called truth was merely a mask, and that trusting in the kindness of others could be fatal. Loneliness shaped his mindset and refined his perception. He realized early on that life would grant him no choices. Everything would be imposed upon him, and his only escape would be to learn to shape his own destiny. It was in this context that he began to discover the true impact of his decisions, however discreet, and the silent strength he carried within. Every manipulative gesture, every carefully guarded thought, was a step toward the realization that he could influence the world around him without needing anyone's approval. The hidden truth he absorbed silently, observing human weaknesses, became the foundation of what would later be recognized as absolute power. And although no one witnessed his awakening, the transformation was already underway. The child born between abandonment and darkness had no choice, but abandonment, in a way, was also an invitation, a portal to discover his own strength, his own identity, and how darkness could be not only a refuge, but also an extension of his will. Every silent moment, every frustration and injustice absorbed became fuel for the journey he didn't yet fully understand, but which was already beginning to shape his character and future decisions. He comments, "I'm on that journey too. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because before he was called Son of Darkness, he was just a child trying to find his place in the world. There was an innocent sparkle in his eyes, small but real, a sparkle born of the desire to be seen, to be loved, to believe that perhaps there was something good waiting for him. In his early years, he still carried a silent hope. He dreamed of a home where the sound of laughter was louder than the sound of arguments, where the warmth of hands replaced the cold of abandonment. And for a time, he believed. He tried to be good. He tried to deserve the affection the world never offered him. But time has a cruel way of erasing innocence. Each failed attempt left an invisible scar, and each refusal dimmed that glow. The smile, once natural, began to feel out of place, as if smiling were a forbidden act. Little by little, the boy became a shadow of his former self, and what remained of his kindness mingled with the pain of not being understood. This is where the transformation begins, not by choice, but by necessity. When the heart tires of waiting, the mind takes over. And it was at this point that he learned to keep everything inside, to build walls where bridges once stood. It's strange to think that even the most feared of villains was once just someone who dreamed of being loved. This hidden truth shows that darkness is rarely born out of malice. It arises when the light gives up its insistence. And understanding this changes everything. It changes the way we look at others, and even how we understand our own shadows, because deep down, we all have a bit of that brilliance that never had a chance. Write it down. I'm on this journey too. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because it was at this point in the journey that fate showed its cruelest face. Life, which already seemed unfair, decided to test how much that boy could endure. It all started with something simple, a promise. Someone who said they would stay, someone who swore not to abandon him like the others had. And for a brief moment he believed. He believed so much that he dared to let his guard down, believing that perhaps the light could still save him. But betrayal came silently, like a cold blade piercing trust. The person who represented hope disappeared, and with her went the last shred of innocence remaining within him. The impact was devastating. It wasn't just the pain of loss, it was the discovery of the hidden truth behind the world. No one comes to save you. It was then that something inside him broke, and when something breaks like that, it never comes back the same. His mind changed, and with it, his mindset. The boy who had once sought shelter began to observe everything with a cold, analytical, almost calculated gaze. He began to see behind the scenes of what he once called fate, and understood that the game had always been rigged. Compassion turned to distrust, and kindness to a mask he wore only when needed. This was the true transformation, the birth of the Son of Darkness, not as a title, but as a reflection of everything the world forced him to be. Because when the heart bleeds for too long, darkness ceases to be an enemy and becomes a shelter, and it is in this shelter that he learns to rebuild himself, even if in his own way. He comments, "That makes sense to me." Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because this is where his transformation ceases to be merely a consequence and begins to become a choice. After the betrayal, silence became his only companion. But within that silence, something began to speak to him. It wasn't an ordinary voice. It was a whisper that seemed to come from within, from the depths of his mind, where pain and fear mingled. This presence didn't promise salvation, didn't say everything would be okay. It simply listened, and somehow that was enough. While the world ignored him, the darkness listened. When everyone turned their faces away, it remained there, still, patient, almost welcoming. Over time, that boy began to respond. His conversations were not made of words but of feelings. Anger, frustration, loss. Each emotion was a silent dialogue with what inhabited the void around him. The hidden truth is that the darkness never corrupted him. It merely shaped what already existed within him. It was as if the shadows merely reflected what the world insisted on denying. And in that reflection, he found power. His mindset began to shift. Fear became focus, suffering became strategy, and the voices, once frightening, now sounded like guides, shaping his new identity. The journey that began with abandonment now continued, fueled by inner revelations, a strength that grew in silence, fueled by everything that had once destroyed him. The shadows didn't drag him away. He embraced them. He comments, "I'm on this journey too." Now, I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because what comes next is the point at which pain ceases to be merely a memory and becomes fuel. It was at that moment that power, the very power everyone feared but no one understood, began to awaken. It didn't come as a divine blessing, nor as a gift granted by luck. It emerged as a stifled scream, born of despair and revolt. It was the body and soul's response to a world that pushed it toward the abyss. Every tear that fell was converted into energy. Every blow it received left marks, not only on its skin, but on its very essence. The transformation wasn't pretty. It was raw, intense, and inevitable. He felt something inside him snap, as if reality itself were folding around his pain. The air grew thick, shadows took shape, and time seemed to slow down. It was as if for a brief moment the entire universe had heard him. But this power didn't bring peace. It burned him from within, consuming his sanity, demanding control, and at the same time, promising freedom. The hidden truth is that he never wanted to become the villain of this story. He just wanted to be seen. He just wanted the world to stop pretending he didn't exist. But when all you have is darkness, even light starts to feel like a threat. The mask the world forced him to wear now became part of him. The hero died the same instant the power awakened. He comments, "That makes sense to me. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because this is where true transformation begins, not in the body, but in the mind." After the awakening of power came silence, the kind of silence that screams from within, that echoes in memories and turns every thought into a knife. He tried to resist, tried to keep something human inside him, but the pain was too constant, and when love dies, hate becomes the only safe place. It was the perfect refuge, cold, firm, and predictable. Where love had left him vulnerable, hate gave him direction. He no longer needed pity nor hope. He just needed focus. His mindset changed completely. Anger, once a poison, now became fuel. He learned to channel it, to transform every bitter memory into strength. And the more they tried to break him, the more he molded himself into something no one could master. What many saw as destruction, he saw as liberation. The hidden truth is that hatred didn't corrupt him, it merely protected him from the chaos the world created within him. This internal journey, filled with dark decisions and bitter revelations, was what made him impenetrable. The impact was visible in his eyes. There was no more room for fear, there was purpose. Love made him dream, but hate made him survive. And perhaps this was his first victory. Write it down. I'm on this journey too. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because this is the point at which the war ceases to be visible. The true battlefield is not out there, in the ruins or among enemies, but within him. Every thought is a blade, every memory an open wound. He still hears echoes of what once was, laughter, promises that gleam in the eye that carried a glimmer of hope. But time has a cruel way of eroding even the purest memories. What once kept him human now seems distant, almost unreal. The light tries to resist, but the weight of darkness is constant, insistent. And when the emptiness begins to feel more comfortable than the pain, the soul begins to give way. The darkness doesn't overwhelm him all at once. It's patient, strategic, whispering in short. Bursts always at the right moment. It doesn't say, surrender, but you've tried too hard. It doesn't promise power, but peace, the peace of feeling nothing anymore. And he, weary, begins to listen. Little by little, the voice of darkness becomes familiar, almost comforting. It wasn't an enemy speaking to him, it was himself. It was the forgotten, ignored part of him that finally found space to exist. And this revelation is devastating, realizing that the monster he so feared has always lived within him, waiting for the right moment to rise. This internal battle is more than a conflict between good and evil. It's about identity, about what happens when you're forced to choose between feeling pain or losing yourself. He tries to remember who he fought for, but their faces fade, their voices disappear. Only the sound of his own heartbeat remains, in rhythm with the chaos. And yet there's a part of him that persists, a nearly invisible spark that refuses to go out completely. This small, fragile light is the last vestige of the boy who believed in good. But the problem is, every spark can turn to ash if the wind blows in the wrong direction. The transformation is slow, silent, and when you realize it, there's no turning back. His eyes reflect the emptiness that now inhabits his mind. He no longer cries, not because he's overcome it, but because he's forgotten how. Hatred has become a shelter, and fear a distant memory. It's at this moment that we understand the true impact of darkness. It doesn't destroy, it replaces. It erases what existed and rewrites everything, shaping the new self from the rubble of the old. It's a shift in mindset, a collapse masquerading as a rebirth. And he accepts it, not because you want it, but because there are no other alternatives. The hidden truth is that no one saved him because no one truly tried to understand what was going on inside him. Everyone judged him on the surface, calling him cold, dangerous, lost. But behind that expressionless gaze, there were still echoes of humanity crying out for help. Only no one listened. And that's when he stopped asking. He began to walk side by side with the shadows, not for pleasure, but for necessity. The darkness understood him when the world forgot him, and that, cruel as it may seem, was what kept him breathing. Now what was born of darkness is no longer an intruder. It's part of him. There's no longer a separation between what was and what has become. The boy and the monster coexist, sharing the same body, the same heart, but with different purposes. And the scariest thing is realizing that, amidst all this, he's found balance. A distorted, dangerous balance, but balance nonetheless. He comments, "That makes sense to me. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because this is the point where everything changes. The inner chaos calms, not because he's found peace, but because he's finally stopped resisting. The fear disappears, and in its place, something new is born, something solid, cold, and lucid. It's the moment he understands that fighting what he's become is the same as denying his own existence. Throughout his journey, he's tried to be what others expected, tried to fit into a light that never welcomed him. But now, there's no more room for illusions. He doesn't seek redemption, he seeks purpose. The transformation is brutal, but liberating. For the first time, he sees the world as it truly is. A theater of hypocrisy where kindness is used as a mask, and justice is merely a disguise for control. This revelation is the trigger that awakens what was dormant. He understands that what was called darkness was, in fact, the part of him that always saw beyond appearances. The hidden truth is that the villain isn't always born of evil, but of the frustration of seeing lies celebrated as virtue. And in that instant, what was once conflict becomes clarity. He no longer wants to erase the shadow, he wants to master it. Every decision is now calculated. There's no more room for regret. The old pain becomes fuel, and this is the most dangerous moment of all, because pain, when given direction, becomes strength. He stops running, looks up, and accepts, if the world fears darkness, let it fear me. It's the phrase that marks the birth of something new, no longer the lost boy trying to prove he's worthy of love, but the man who has learned to be whole, even in the parts the world calls wrong. He doesn't seek approval, he seeks impact. He wants to leave a scar in time, a trail that makes him impossible to forget. The gleam in his eyes is no longer a reflection of innocence, but of conviction. Now, every gesture, every word, carries the weight of a mindset forged in suffering. He understands the value of pain because it was what shaped him. Guilt melts away, and fear gives way to strategy. From this point on, the villain is not just an enemy, he is a balancing force, a reminder that even light needs shadow to exist. This acceptance is not surrender, it is rebirth. He does not want to destroy the world, he wants to remake it in his image, to correct the distortion that created it. Behind the scenes of this new version, there is a disturbing serenity. He speaks less, observes more, and each silence is an echo of the certainty that guides him. What was once a divided boy is now a complete man, whole in his duality, aware of the role he chose to play. And this changes everything, because true power lies not in dominating others, but in dominating oneself. Darkness, once a prison, is now his most loyal weapon. He no longer fears being the villain of the story, because he understands that sometimes it is the villain who carries the truth the hero refuses to see. The journey didn't end, it simply changed form. The hero died, the instant fear dissolved. What was born in his place is living proof that acceptance can be as destructive as it is redemptive. And deep down, there's a strange beauty in this, the beauty of someone who, by embracing their own darkness, finally becomes free. Write it down. I'm on this journey too. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because when the dust of battle settles, silence speaks louder than any scream. What remains is the echo of the choices he made, not out of malice, but out of necessity. The power that once seemed liberating now weighs like an invisible chain. He has earned the respect, fear, and loneliness that have always followed him like faithful shadows. It's curious how transformation takes its toll, even when it seems like victory. In his eyes, there's a weariness that comes not from war, but from the absence of purpose. Because deep down, what he always sought wasn't glory, it was belonging. There's something deeply human in his downfall. He didn't want to be a god, nor a monster. He simply wanted to prove he was real, that his pain mattered. But the world chose to call him a villain, and he accepted this role with the coolness of someone who understands that certain truths must be spoken, even at the cost of everything. The impact of his decisions spreads like cracks in time. Where there was innocence, purpose was born. Where there was love, memory remained. And what keeps him going now is no longer the desire to win, but the need to leave a legacy, something that gives his suffering meaning. The hidden truth behind this entire journey is that evil rarely arises from emptiness. It is forged in the failures of empathy, in broken promises, in the absence of those who should be there. And he carries this revelation like an open wound, remembering every look that condemned him, every hand that withdrew. Deep down, what he destroyed were not cities, but the versions of himself that couldn't survive. And yet, there is a remnant of humanity there, something that endures even after all, because no matter how much the darkness consumes him, there is a part of him that still yearns to be understood. His journey isn't about destruction, but about redemption, one that may never come, but that keeps him going. In the end, he never wanted to destroy the world. He just wished someone had believed in him. This is the bitterest irony. He became exactly what the world feared, just to prove he was right all along. It's a story of impact, of transformation, but also of loneliness, of someone who carries the weight of a destiny they never chose, but embraced because they had no other choice. And perhaps that's what makes this story so powerful, the revelation that even the darkest hearts are born from the light that was denied. He became the very reflection of the pain he tried to overcome, the legacy of a love that was never reciprocated. And even though the world sees him as a threat, there's a silent promise deep in his gaze that somehow he's still searching for something he lost along the way. He comments, "That makes sense to me. If you've made it this far, it means you've truly immersed yourself in this story, following every choice, every conflict, and every transformation of the Son of Darkness. And that's something worth celebrating, because your attention and presence give meaning to the entire effort of telling this narrative. So if you felt this connection, please leave a like on the video. It's not just a gesture, it's a way of acknowledging that we've been on this journey together, and that you cared about every detail we shared. I also want to invite you to leave a comment with the phrase, "I'm with you until the end." It'll be incredible to see who truly connected with the story and wants to continue exploring each layer of this saga. Your participation helps create a community that values the content, reflects on these narratives, and keeps the space for intense and transformative stories like this alive. And if you want to delve even deeper into this universe, there's a video here that complements this topic. Click and follow along. In it, we'll delve even deeper into the Son of Darkness's mind, his most complex decisions, and the impact of each choice on the path that led him to become who he is. It's a natural continuation of this journey and will allow you to better understand the details that shape this dark and fascinating story. So, seize this moment, leave a like, let me know in the comments that you've made it to the end, and follow along to discover what else this saga has to reveal. With each video, the story deepens, and having you along makes it all the more special.